In the previous tutorial, we showed you how to add real-time updates to a JavaScript chart using SciChart.js. We're going to be following on directly from that tutorial. So if you haven't done it already, please head over to our GitHub page, which is github.com/abtsoftware/SciChart.js.examples. And under tutorials, the previous one was tutorial 4, adding real-time updates. I've taken a snapshot of that code now, and I'm just quickly going to go through it as a recap. In index.html, we have a div with the ID SciChartRoot, which is where we place our SciChartSurface. In index.js, we call SciChartSurface_create, passing in the same ID in order to create the SciChartSurface. We add an x-axis and a y-axis, and we add a scatter series and a line series to the chart. Next, we create two data series for the scatter data and the line data, and we fill them with 1,000 points of sine and cosine waves respectively. Finally, we have an update data function, which we call once and then repeatedly every 60th of a second. And in this function, we append a single point and we update the x-axis visible range equal to a new number range in order to scroll the chart. Let's go ahead and run this now by opening up a terminal. And you need to npm install and then npm start. And go ahead and open this up in your browser. And you can see that we have a scrolling chart where the points are appended and we manipulate the x-axis range. Now, in one of the previous tutorials, we showed you how we could add some zooming and panning behavior to the chart. So what we're going to do is comment this out, and then we're going to add some zooming and panning behavior to this chart as follows. First of all, we add these two chart modifiers to the chart. So the zoom extents modifier adds a double click to zoom to fit behavior, and the zoom pan modifier allows you to pan back in time by dragging the mouse. Don't forget that we also need the imports for both of these, which I'll put at the top of the file. Now let's run our application again. Remember that I've commented out the live updating, so we're simply appending our data once. So I can now pan the chart around, and I can also double click and it will zoom to fit. Unfortunately, if I re-enable the live updates, this is no longer going to work. And I'll talk about why in a moment. So here's my live updating chart where we're scrolling, but if I zoom and pan, I can only zoom and pan vertically. I can't actually zoom and pan horizontally, and there's a little bit of glitching that occurs there. The reason why is in the code, we have this line of code. We have x-axis visible range equal new number range every time the chart is updated. So the mouse interactions with the zoom pan modifier are actually conflicting with this, not allowing me to scroll backwards in time. That might not be the desired outcome. You might want to scroll back in time to view earlier data, but zoom to fit or restart scrolling. Let's see how we can solve this problem using the zoom state property on the SciChart surface. So there's a property on the SciChart surface which is called zoom state. And we can say if the zoom state is not equal to eZoomState user zooming, then we update our x-axis visible range in order to scroll the chart. Else we leave the x and y-axis visible range untouched. Don't forget to import eZoomState, and you can find that in SciChart/types/zoomState. Have a look at the documentation on the eZoomState enumeration. Basically, there are two options. They are @extents and user zooming. So user zooming is the state when the user has initiated a zoom or pan operation. And @extents means that the chart is at its visible extents, which means it's recently been zoomed to fit or it's otherwise untouched by the user. So using this logic, we can add some specific scrolling or other operations to zoom to fit, but only if the user hasn't done something with the modifiers. Let's have a look at how this performs in the application now. So the chart is still scrolling in real time, but now I can zoom and I can pan back in time, and I can double click to zoom back to extents. And when I do, the logic in this block takes over again and we do our automatic scrolling. There are some other operations that we can do as well. What if we wanted to add drag to zoom and mouse wheel instead of zoom pan? To do this, we could add two different modifiers. So we could add the mouse wheel zoom modifier and the rubber band XY zoom modifier. Don't forget that you'll need to import these as well from the ChartModifiers namespace. Let's have a look at the application now to see how it behaves. So the chart is scrolling, and if I use the mouse wheel, it zooms out. And if I use this dragging, all of a sudden the zooming stops and I can zoom into a specific part of the chart. Now I can double click to reset the zoom and the scrolling resumes. While we're here and talking about real-time updates and zooming and panning combined, there is a live demo that you can try out in our SciChart.js online demo. This can be viewed at demo.scichart.com. On the left, go into the category 2D charts, create stock charts, and the demo you're looking for is JavaScript real-time ticking stock chart. So the way that this example works is we've implemented it so that every time a new candlestick is added to the end of the data series, we advance the chart one bar with scrolling. But I can also zoom backwards in time. I can use the mouse wheel, and I can inspect earlier data in the price series. As soon as I double click or as soon as I drag this bar back into view, the chart keeps advancing. The way that we've done this is we've implemented a very, very simple rule. So the rule is we check if the latest bar is inside the x-axis visible range or inside the viewport, and if it is, we advanced with animation one bar. Otherwise we don't. So if this bar is outside of the viewport like that, we do not advance, but as soon as it's inside the viewport, we do. You can take a look at this live demo to see how we've implemented it. The source code for the demo is below on the web page, and there's also a link directly to our GitHub repository for this demo application as well. So go ahead and search in here for visible range, and you can see the rule here. We have an update chart function similar to our tutorial, and we're basically looking for the latest bar index, and if that is inside the x-axis visible range, then we do our animation, otherwise we don't. It's as simple as that to implement something in SciChart, or even more complex rules than that to allow interactions, zooming, panning, all sorts of different behaviors on the chart with or without real-time updates.